What's next for you? Is that going to continue? Is there anything new in your future?
The answer to that is stay tuned. There may be some changes coming down the road, but it'll be a while before there's any changes to it. When Salem Communications bought us up, they loved the Ed Morrissey Show. They wanted me to continue doing it.
Okay, so is the Ed Morrissey Show part of Hot Air or in the same business unit? Is that?
Oh, it's all part of the same business unit.
Okay, so you were part of the acquisition then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll run this down really quickly. When Michelle Malkin decided that she wanted to sell Hot Air, they got in contact with Salem Communications, who had earlier expressed some interest, and then there were some changes at Salem. This is a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So earlier this year, they got back in touch with the new team at Salem and said, anybody still interested? And they went, hey, yeah, absolutely we are. And so before the sale went through, they had negotiated whatever the price was, and I think it's actually a matter of public record because Salem's a publicly, I didn't ask, but Salem's a publicly traded company and actually came out in one of their releases, because of Sarbanes-Oxley, you have to declare all this stuff. And we flew up to where Michelle lives to meet with her and her husband, who was Jesse, who was, by the way, a tremendous part of this business. He ran the business end of this thing.
Yeah, you don't see him at all. He's behind the scenes.
He's very behind the
wonderful
scenes.
Things about him.
They're both very wonderful people.
Yes.
They are just sweethearts. It was the easiest 2 years of my professional life was working for Michelle.
Yeah.
And the sale was incumbent on Alapundit and myself signing contracts.
Really?
Salem wouldn't buy. Well, you could buy it would be worth tremendously less if there wasn't anybody writing for it.
This is true, yeah.
And so if we weren't satisfied with how Salem was going to handle us, we wouldn't have signed the contracts.
Right.
We went up there. We heard very good things. And what's it been, 2 months now? Almost 2 months? Yeah, I think almost. It's coming up close to 2 months. And I haven't had a single issue with anything I've written, with any position.
Interference, nothing at all?
None. And in fact, I got to tell you, a lot of people say, well, Michelle, really ran the thing, and we had to agree with Michelle on things. When Michelle first called me up, I was working at Blog Talk Radio.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the BTR thing.
I found you after Blog Talk.
Okay. Okay. BTR, by the way, really nice.
Yes.
Really nice folks over BTR. It's a fun platform too. But I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be plugging them.
No, that's not a problem. No, we're something a little different than them. No, we are open source. We are looking to bring everyone together and pulling the rope in the same direction. Sidebar for a second. You've seen Finding Nemo, grandkids?
Yes.
The scene where all the fish are in the net and they're all pulling the wrong direction, and Nemo convinced them to pull in the same direction.
Yes.
They break the net. That's a personal mission of mine to get all these folks out there.
There you go.
The tea parties, the bloggers, the streamers, etc., the broadcasters, we all need to work together. And Blog Talk Radio, Take That Media, ourselves, Ustream, Ed Morrissey Show, Hot Air. I just want to do everything I can to communicate the message to as many people as possible. So promote anybody you want to, as long as they're fighting a good fight.
All right. Well, BTR.
Okay.
Great company. I was working for them. She called me up and asked me to join Hot Air. And actually, she was funny about it. She says, I'm asking you first because I think you're going to say no. I'm pretty sure you're going to say no, but I figured if I don't ask you. And I said, well, actually, I'm inclined to say yes to this. And she was a little surprised, but it turned out to be great. And I said, but look, there are things you and I don't agree on. There are things that, we're going to disagree on. Are you going to be okay with that if I get up there and say I disagree with the boss on this one? And she says, I'd love it.
Yeah.
She says, first off, I like the fact that you're independent. It's one of the reasons why I like reading you.
She is an independent herself.
She's independent herself, so she's got an appreciation for that. Yeah. And she says, and actually, I think it would be fun to have arguments between you and me on our blogs, just to see how people react. And it's up from time.
Oh my God, they're exploding. The left's making fun of us.
And then, of course, every time I wound up disagreeing with her, of course, she turned out to be right.
She's a smart woman.
She's a smart woman. The tarp thing was. I said, look, the tarp thing, it kind of makes sense because the government created this problem. The government is going to have to take some steps to solve this problem, and buying up the bad paper makes sense. And she says, you're wrong. You're wrong because they're not going to do that with the money.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big blank check for. I said, no. They're going to write it. They're going to write it, so it's not. Oh, no. I'm just
fished in.
Man.
Yeah.
So, like, about a month later, I had her back on the show, and I said, I'm so sorry. Is
she the type of person that would rub it in? Or just
no, not at all. Not at all. No, granted, she likes me.
Okay, yeah.
So she probably wasn't interested in rubbing it in with me. Now, if it had been somebody, one of her political opponents.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know Michelle.
Yes, absolutely. She's an amazing inspiration. My wife
is
loves
wonderful.
her. You know, there's so many good role models in the conservative world. I've got a 10-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son, and there are just so many great people out there. Michelle is one of them. You are one of them. You base your positions on fact. As you said earlier, you try to be an optimist, and that's one of the things that attracted me to you, listening to you. For whatever reason, I am sometimes very sarcastic or negative at times, and I've changed that with a few years. 9/11 really woke me up. I was left of center. I voted for Bill Clinton both times. But then having children changes you. And then when you have a 1-year-old or 18-month-old and she sees 9/11 happening, and I was at my job at that time, I was an account manager for the web hosting of Cantor Fitzgerald. So I remember calling them that morning when the towers were hit and got no answers, and calling again. I left 3 or 4 voicemails, and then when the towers fell, I've got that sinking feeling now, just seeing that. So that affected me. It changed me, and I'm also from the Northeast, so it's seeing that happen was stunning.
I was a call center manager, actually, and we had customers in the shopping mall area in the World Trade Center Plaza, and I mean, we were trying to make sure that nobody had actually opened up. You know, because I ran an alarm company, Central Station, and you could tell when people turned off the alarms. So I was telling operators, look it up, start calling people, tell them don't go down there, and of course, we called the corporate offices for these folks and said, look, it doesn't look like none of them actually opened their stores up before the planes hit.
I mean, it was just a life-altering event, and the reason I was bringing that up is that I lost my train of thought. I was talking about the seriousness of using facts and how I became. That's where it was. I was talking about how I was on the left, and then having a child changed me. 9/11 then really changed me, strung me far right, and then. Seeing the whole George W. Bush situation with Ramos and Compion, the border agents, that was when that's the straw on my back that said, get involved, do something. I live in San Antonio. I went to the protests outside his offices because Johnny Sutton and George W. Bush were friends. George W. Bush gave Sutton his position that he has in Texas. So that happens in politics. Imagine that. But I was stunned that the president was not supportive of these agents. Did they do something wrong? Absolutely. They felt they're doing things right. They picked up the cartridges and things of that sort. They thought that the superiors were there and saw it. That's besides the point. I thought the sentencing was crazy. 12 years and 11 years respectively for the two gentlemen. And the president just left them hanging, and I thought, this is crazy. Our world is upside down. And I got my picture in the Texas Monthly magazine. I had my blonde-haired son on my shoulders. I had a red, white, and blue Harley-Davidson skull cap on, and I had a sign that said, criminals bad, police officers good. Why is that hard to understand? And I got a lot of pub on that, and I was put in the San Antonio paper, and it said anti-immigration protesters. And I'm like, no, I said we're anti-illegal, and they wouldn't retract it. So I started getting involved. And I learned that conservatives, in my experience, base their arguments on fact. That's my point I was trying to get to 4 minutes ago, is they base them on facts, and the left is very emotional. If they can't defend themselves on facts, they call you a racist because you can't defend that statement. They call you names. They make it emotional. It's all about Alinsky. And you are outstanding. You're a very smart man. You're knowledgeable in the political world. Your articles are all so well referenced. Michelle's articles at michellemalkin.com. My God, she's got so many sources, links in there. She's amazing.
She's terrific, yeah.
And even Ala Pundit, I got to give him a little crap. He's you have the yin and the yang in there. He's a great writer as well.
He's a very nice guy, by the way.
Really,
and he's a really great partner on the blog.
Fantastic. So I became attracted to the conservative side of things, and your style specifically because it is optimistic. You want to see the best in people. It's a very Christian value, and it's something you should be commended for. Your writing style is outstanding. I've got a confession, Father, I've sinned. It's been a week since my last confession. I have borrowed much of your content at theloudtalker.com, but I always source you. I say hat tip to Ed Morrissey.
Great.
I do trackback links. But you have just provided such a wonderful inspiration for me, and I know lots of other folks. So thank you for what you do. I want to wish you the best of luck with the future now that you're part of Salem Communications. And again, thank you so very much for spending some time with me.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's been great.
It's been a pleasure.